And Bill Walsh is with us today. He is on the third board, and always good to see you. First thing you're going to talk about today is a couple open positions, right?
Right, Ken. Last week was kind of a little bit of a, actually part of it was a shock, part of it wasn't so much. Bert Moldow left the third board and was elected to the GRF board in an election last Tuesday.
That's right, yeah.
And I think he's going to bring a lot of expertise on the energy side of issues there for GRF. I think GRF has a lot of opportunities for energy issues. And so. And Susie, I haven't talked to her since she resigned, but just talking to several board members, I think some personal things came up in her life that she had to deal with. So I wanted to let everybody know that their applications are now open for those two positions. Those two positions are another 18 months. They both end in October of 2019. The applications can be picked up here in the community center on the second floor, or you can have them probably mailed to you. You can call Catherine Lassiter at 949-597-4265. The applications are due by noon on Friday, May 4th.
Okay, so there's some time.
There's some time. There's 2 to 3 weeks. And the board is, part of that application process is going to require the applicants to submit a 300-word candidate statement by electronic format or in person no later than noon on May 4th. And on May 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon, the board is going to have a special meeting, and we're going to interview the candidates and make selections at that time. So
all right.
I hope that's enough information for everybody.
All right. Very good. So moving on, once again, walkway lighting.
It's been forever.
Yes.
We did pilots. We had to go out and really at night and look at these. And we started out with just simple bulb replacement in the existing fixtures.
Right.
And those fixtures were anywhere from 18 to 24 inches high. And they really didn't throw much light, even with the addition of LED lighting or integrated circuit, LED circuit.
Right.
And they weren't throwing a lot of light. So we went back to the vendor who was doing this for us, and U.S. Energy, and we asked them to raise the height of those little lights. We had a demo, and it didn't seem to do much with the fixture top that they had. So we went back, and a couple of weeks ago we had some bollards, 32-inch high bollards put in, and with 4,000 Kelvin lights in them, and they really tended to spread the light. The dispersion of the light was much better than anything we had seen, and we decided that was probably going to be the best option for us. So anybody that wants to go out at night in the dark, you can go behind the 2354 building or the 2355 building and along the walkways there. That's off of Via Mariposa. Okay. And you can walk there and see these pilot fixtures with the lighting in them. I just talked to Ernesto on Friday, and the requests for proposals are in the hands of purchasing right now. They're looking over them, and they're going to submit them out to 2 or 3 different vendors. So that is going to be for 588 lights. That's a lot of walkway lights.
That's a lot of lights.
But
now, let me ask you, are all those replacements or in addition to? In other words, are you upping the amount of physical lights?
They're replacements.
Okay.
One of the things that United Mutual is doing, and that we will probably follow suit on the years to come, is where they find dark spots, and there are a lot of dark spots.
Right.
They will probably trench and continue the circuit along those. Because when you go from incandescent bulbs or you go from CFL's not so much. You save energy. Well, that means that circuit can carry more load.
Yes,
and so we can add other lights along the walkway. So right now we're in the business of replacing existing light fixtures.
It's sort of like Christmas lights. You know, years ago they would say only maybe string 3 strings together, and quite literally now they'll say oh, you can string like 70 together.
That's
you
right.
look on the box and don't string more than 70. I
Right.
don't know who's going to do that,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but that's the difference.
It
really
is the difference,
Yeah.
and they don't put out a lot of heat.
No,
and so
not at all.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, street light acquisition, and keeping the vein of lighting here.
Right. Well, we actually signed a contract last October, I believe.
And that was with SCE.
That
right?
was SCE.
Yeah.
It was a contract that SCE said, take it or leave it.
Right, right.
And we signed it to take control of 788. It varies from 768 to 788 lights, depending on at what time you talk to somebody of how many lights there are. But that's all going to be that will all be verified before we enter into taking control of those lights, before we actually pay the money to have those, to take control of those lights. And what's going to start happening is we've engaged Siemens, we've signed a contract with Siemens to do all of the processes that are required by SCE to take control of these lights. And it goes all the way to the California Public Utilities Commission for approval before we actually can sign it. We can actually purchase them. But there are phases to that point, and in those phases, one of the things that Siemens is going to do is going to go out and verify that the inventory that Edison thinks they have matches up with what they find. They're also going to verify that the poles are in good shape, that we're going to acquire, that everything is, the electrical circuitry inside the pole is good, and they're going to test that apparently. They're going to make sure the structural integrity of the poles is good. And then at a second phase down the road, I think staff is going to start talking to Siemens to get prepared for retagging the poles, because right now if you go out to look at one of these street lights, you'll see a metal strip about that big, and it's got a serial number on it with E at the bottom, indicating it's an Edison pole. And so those are going to have to come off and be replaced. And Siemens has tremendous experience with this. They've done it for municipalities all over California and the country. And so this whole process is in pretty good hands. The thing that we need to do, and staff is taking care of this, is to make sure that we initiate these processes at the right time, understand what Edison's going to do for us during the process as we march towards acquiring these streetlights.
Okay, and do you have a time frame yet?
We don't, and I think that that's what they're going to be meeting with Siemens to see at least a time frame for when Siemens is going to do their work.
Okay.
We still don't have any. We were at the bottom of the queue of over 50 municipalities that took advantage of this streetlight acquisition program. So it can be pretty bureaucratic to get through all the paperwork and all the different departments at Edison before it gets the application gets moved up to the CPUC for final approval. So.
Okay. Now, as far as the energy consultants you're interviewing for, is that part of Siemens? Is that Siemens as well? These are different consultants?
It's a different kind of consulting.
Okay.
It's basically Siemens is in this case is taking care of the streetlights. That's their focus. That's what they're going to do. They're going to replace out those streetlights with LED lights. Where they're going to suggest how big of arms that where you can put a 6-foot arm or a 3-foot arm on some of these poles to get more light out onto the street surfaces and the sidewalks that are adjacent to the street there. But these folks are going to be talking about all of the new technologies that are coming up that may help us gain better control of our aging infrastructure.
Okay.
And some of those things are talking about microgrids, building our own grid into, community choice aggregation, which I'll talk about a little bit. There are things that we may be able to do. We've got a situation in our 3-story buildings with the carports and the garages where we're almost at capacity for all the people plugging into their electric golf carts into. And now we're having manufacturers of vehicles, automobiles, that are coming with a wave of electric vehicles. And we're very concerned that the infrastructure is not going to, we're pretty sure the infrastructure wouldn't support it as it is today. It's a 50-year-old electrical infrastructure. So these folks are going to advise us on alternatives to, ways we can deal with those issues. And the real big elephant in the room is time of use. Now, we all got smart meters on our residences. Okay. What that means that Edison can look at our electricity consumption 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They know when we're using our most electricity. What they have found in their service area is that it used to be that there used to be one surge of electricity when people went to work and all the lights went on and all the buildings and all the factories and everything, and it had a big hump, and then it started to dwindle as everybody went home. Well, what they started to find is that everyone's got home entertainment systems. People stay at home and do a lot more activities. They're getting electric vehicles. They're charging their vehicles in the evening. And so they're getting another hump at dinner hour and then beyond. And what we're concerned about is their statements that basically they want to, Edison being the case, want to shift the cost of electricity that's been what they consider burdensome to commercial enterprises. They want to shift more of that over to residential. What does that mean? That means that the rate structure may go up, okay, and that the time of use, that rate structure may penalize people for using electricity later in the day. So instead of having a time of use from noon to 4 that's at the high peak rate, they may extend that to 9 o'clock at night. And I'm just using may. I'm using that word may. But this is because nobody knows what the CPUC is going to allow them to do. But if you think you've got an aging, if you think about it, we have an aging community here, and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a hot August afternoon, they're going to have their air conditioner on, and they're going to be paying peak rate. And what we want to do is look at things that are going to help the community reduce the rates. Now, one of those is community choice aggregation. And what that is that you go out to a supplier like a wind farm or a solar farm out in the desert, and you contract with them for a lower rate on electricity, okay? But it has to be done at the municipal level. We can't, as an HOA, go out and do that. And it so happens that last week, some of our city council, I don't know if it was city council people, I think it was the city manager, certainly Chris Macon, and a number of other people were at an SCE presentation over at University of California, Irvine, with a lot of other municipalities talking about these initiatives that Edison provides for municipalities. Well, so we've been doing a lot of these things that I come here to talk about, and Bert Moldau has come and talked about, Steve Leonard has come and talked about, all these in-house, in our homeowners association. We're going to start looking outside of the homeowners associations and start looking at the city and saying, look, what initiatives are cost savings that we can participate in? And so there's a whole lot of things that these energy consultants are going to be able to help us with.
All right. Well, we'll see where that goes.
Long-winded, I'm sorry. But
no, that's okay. No, it's interesting. We'll see where all this goes.
It is.
Yeah.
Good.
Very good. Bill, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Ken.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I appreciate you coming on. A lot of good information. And remember, Third's meeting is tomorrow. We'll be right back.